Hi, I'm Alex Helmbrecht, and I'm joined here, as always, by my faithful co-host, Daniel Binkard. Welcome to the FARcast. Our guest today is Dr. Britt Helmbrecht. Bears all the relation to me, but no, I'm teasing. My lovely wife, who's worked here at Chadron State for about a decade now. You're the interim dean of the School of Professional Studies and Applied Sciences. So how's this semester going for you?
Quick.
For
It's
sure.
very fast. Yeah. We're already almost to December.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
flying
blinked.
by.
I know. It's wild.
Well, we're going to try to maybe talk to you about some strategies so that makes maybe time won't go so fast or it won't feel so fleeting. And we're going to talk to you about wellness, because one of your many duties on campus is kind of contributing to a positive and supportive campus environment through wellness practices. So talk a little bit about your work as a campus wellness officer.
So I don't know where to begin. I've always had a passion for wellness. I actually teach personal health and wellness, or taught personal health and wellness from the very beginning of my teaching career. And prior to that, had a lot of experience in physical wellness and recreation. So naturally, just as I grew as an instructor and wanted to get more involved in campus, I wanted to share more of that wellness training, I guess, out to the students. Also, within my class, I was seeing a lot of common themes with what students were dealing with, and so that kind of public health mindset came, and I was like, what can we do to prevent some of these things? Like, how can we get in front of them? So I actually wrote a proposal a couple years ago, and received a $100,000 grant through Beacon ARPA to be able to start a campus wellness program. And through that program, the idea was just to do some of that primary prevention stuff. So, working with the counselors to see, like, what are some things that you're seeing? How can we get in front of the students to maybe help prevent, these extreme cases? Or, like, how can we give the students the tools that they need prior to, having to seek out those resources. And so that's kind of how it began. It is still going. It's kind of continuing on, and hopefully in the last couple of years, you've noticed maybe a change in campus culture, just like a more openness to talk about mental wellness and wellness overall.
Well, I certainly have noticed that people are definitely more open to doing those types of activities, and it just kind of seems like, for lack of a better term, the vibe is kind of improving a little bit. And so I commend you for that great work and all those who've helped you. Some of those maybe tangible items that people might recognize on campus are there's a lot of bikes running around campus, and Daniel and I saw them yesterday when we were walking campus. There's some benches. So talk about some of these things that are actually out there assisting in this space.
Yeah. So I will start by saying I am very fortunate that with receiving that grant from Beacon, that other people have recognized the need for wellness and the need and the desire to contribute to that. So the bike share was actually through Panhandle Public Health District, and they reached out and said, hey, we have some funding, we want to develop a bike share. And that naturally just kind of meshed in with a lot of other things I'm doing in the community. And so we got that started. We have a fleet of like 15 bikes. It is taking a world of its own, but we're in the second year of it, and being able to provide those bikes for students to get out and to enjoy, like, the trails that we have to move across campus. A lot of people are using them to go back and forth to their houses that are off campus. So that's really exciting. The other thing you're talking about is the benches, and that was actually a grant to campus from the Alumni Foundation last year. And I actually worked with Daniel. We took a walk around campus and Lucinda just to kind of find some of those places. And the idea with those benches is just to get students outside. I mean, we live in such a beautiful place where, being able to be outside and like see, the hills and to do that, like, there's so much research that supports, being outside and what it does for your mental health. And so when I kind of walked around campus, noticed that there was not a lot of places for students to be outside rather than sitting in the grass. And so I think we ended up with maybe 8 benches, and they're placed all around and placed very specifically, right, based on like the views that they could see from sitting in the benches. And so the desire there is just creating opportunities for people to spend more time outside.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Brittany, what are some of the affordable and accessible wellness opportunities for people on a budget? I mean, going outside certainly seems like always a good option.
Sure.
Yes,
yeah, that's affordable.
You took my answer.
It's my favorite answer.
Right? It is. I think a lot of people think that to practice wellness, you need to like buy all the vitamins and like do all the videos and stuff like that.
Workout equipment, right?
Exactly. You need all of it. Even the even the clothes, like, no, you don't need any of that. There are so many easy and affordable things. So like getting outside would be my first one. Like I said, there's a lot of data to support like the mental health benefits to just being outside, fresh air, looking at a landscape, it's almost meditative too when you're walking, maybe with or without music, just kind of the patterns of your feet hitting the ground, like that can be really meditative. And so that would be my first one, is just getting outside. We have a lot of trails in our area. Meditation is also another one. So like if you can't get outside, there's a lot of apps that just kind of guide you through this calming down process where you can literally just put it on and this person tells you how to breathe, which seems like we should all know how to breathe, but does it in a way that's, you have to actually focus on it and be very specific with it. So there's that. And also I would say as far as the fitness things go, not everyone needs a Peloton bike, right? Like we don't all need to pay for these expensive classes. YouTube has a lot of really great free opportunities, whatever kind of fitness you're into. They have so many free opportunities there.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that Campus Wellness is currently doing to maybe more in an attempt to build a more, I guess, well campus?
I think a big part of building this this culture of wellness, right, is to do education around it, and is also to be more open with it. So we have an Instagram that Wellness runs. We try to share things. We have the bike share, so promoting that as physical wellness, mental wellness. We do an event called Coffee with the Counselors, and so this event is really exciting. Once a month, the licensed counselors, it's kind of a twofold. So they get to get out of their offices that they're in 8 to 9 hours a day, sometimes without breaks. And then the students get to come and see them in a more normalized environment. So Wellness provides the coffee, counselors are there, students come, and it's an opportunity to talk about things if they need to. But really what it's just become is more of a promotional opportunity to say here are the people that you would see if you needed to talk to anyone. We've been giving out a lot of wellness materials, stress balls and different things like that, and just resources to help. So that's a big thing that we do. We also offer yoga, and that's become a little more normalized on campus, I think. So we do that every Friday at noon in the Sandoz Center.
Excellent.
A good space for it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
It's beautiful in there.
Let's see here. So in a little bit, Brittany, we're going to have you demonstrate chair yoga for us and give a little bit of a lesson, and for the viewers too. But could you give us a little bit of a history on chair yoga and how has that been incorporated on campus?
Yeah. So during COVID, actually. So prior to COVID, I started doing yoga kind of on my own, realized that I needed some way to handle my own stress. And so I started taking a yoga class. And then within my fitness class, I started teaching yoga. And so rather than bringing in guest speakers, I was able to kind of get that training I needed to improve that part of my class. And so started teaching the yoga. And then when COVID hit, there were still conferences going on, but obviously conferences had to go virtual.
Right.
And so I was planning on doing a session at a conference, a yoga session. And then when we had to switch it to the virtual session, I adapted it so it would be a chair yoga. And so I actually, like in front of a camera, sat in my chair and was recorded on for this conference, like 75 or some people watching and going through it. And so that's kind of how it started for me. But in noticing that, I got some more opportunities throughout the community to start doing chair yoga at different conferences. And so it really served as more of like a break during those conferences. And so, mental health conferences, worksite wellness conferences. And then I've also incorporated it into the yoga that we have on Fridays. So the idea with the chair yoga, beyond just like, it being a nice little break, is that it really makes it accessible for a lot of people who can't maybe get on the floor, sit on the floor, or stay there.
Good.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
And so I'm assuming that can be adapted for a workplace setting. So someone sitting in their office and maybe needs to take a 5-minute wellness break can go ahead and do some chair yoga?
Yeah. So I think one of the things when we think about yoga is we feel like like you said, with the fancy stuff, like it feels like it has to be fancy, right? We need to be wearing like the clothing and have the mat and have all this stuff. But yoga is really just taking your movements and correlating it with your breath and your breathing. And so you can really do that from anywhere. And so chair yoga just takes some of those really basic poses and allows you to do them in a chair. So, we could be sitting here right now and just, rolling your shoulders back and like, thinking about that breath, or even like, making some cactus arms and doing that. Another benefit to the chair yoga that I always like to plug, especially in a work site setting, is that we're sitting all the time, right? Sometimes we get really tired and we let our shoulders hunch over, or maybe we start to, sit a little bit differently or arch our back. So the chair yoga really is just to try to reverse some of that stuff that we get really used to doing. And it's just about stretching and breathing.
Good. Yeah. Something we all need.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see here. Well, I think we've talked about some of the wellness opportunities, and it's certainly good to know we've got a lot of them going on and on a regular basis. Yeah. But maybe since we're coming up on finals week as we record this, we're just prior to Thanksgiving right now, and which means finals is about the day after, it feels like. Anyway, so everybody feels a little bit more stress. Are there some strategies you'd recommend for specifically for students who might be watching this? What can they do to help mitigate stress?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, so students, I hope you're watching this, is just to really take the time and space that you need. Yeah. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed with thinking that everything needs to be done as soon as possible, or that we need to just power through it and get it done. But a lot of, those study sessions and cram sessions, you can really get a lot more by just taking a break and allowing yourself to just go for a walk around, go for a loop around the building, get outside for a couple minutes and then come back. I think just taking that time and space and remembering yourself can be a really big thing. I also think communication is a big piece that can help alleviate stress. So we talk about this in wellness too, especially emotional wellness. And sometimes with communication, we often assume what people are or how they're going to respond, and that can stress us out internally. We don't know the response, we just anticipate what we think it might be, and that creates a lot of anxiety. And so the stress that I've seen with students sometimes comes down to that, oh, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm too afraid to ask, or I don't know how my professor is going to, respond or think. And so they start to build up these kind of worries and tensions within themselves, and that creates a lot of stress. Yeah. So just being open and communicating, finding an outlet, maybe you can talk to someone, being confident to be able to speak with your professors and kind of go through that. I think that will really help alleviate quite a bit.
No, that's great.
Great strategies. And don't procrastinate.
And don't procrastinate. I have a hard time saying that
I'm going to get
because
started on that real soon now.
yes, please. Don't put it off until later. But I have a hard time saying don't procrastinate because I literally, like, throughout my whole entire academic career, I've always been a procrastinator. Not with my work, but like just with assignments and stuff. I was under the impression that my best work came when I was under pressure. And that is not the case. But I didn't understand that until later. Yeah. So, in hindsight, being able to take the breaks I needed to, understand the directions before I did things, I think I really could have maybe done just a little bit better.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of chip away at a project rather than have to complete it all in 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And I would say too, like a lot of assignments are really intentional in that way. Like the professors, like they intentionally like give you those opportunities, but when students don't use them and they just wait until the last minute, like you're really not getting the whole idea of the assignment. Yeah. So do your work.
That's for sure.
You heard it from the interim dean, or else.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Britt. Will you be able to stick around for a few minutes and lead us through a session on chair yoga?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Through the magic of video editing, we will go snap, and suddenly you'll be in the chair.
All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Britt Helmbrecht, and I'm going to be taking you through a 3 to 5 minute chair yoga. Great. All right, so to get started, we're going to come to the edge of our chair. So your butt will come to kind of the very edge. And I want you, as we get started, just to really take the time to be intentional here. So sitting at the edge of your chair, rolling your shoulders back, sitting up nice and tall. Maybe think about how your shoulders are stacked over your hips. Bring your attention to your spine and feel how it's nice and straight. And so you can find a space to focus on, maybe something in front of you, or you can choose to close your eyes. But to get started with our yoga, we're just going to take some time to kind of wind down, to really get focused. So take a couple big breaths here. And I want you to bring your attention to your breath. It can be really easy to get distracted on all the things that we have to do, maybe all the things in front of you at your desk. But just try to be intentional and focus on that inhale and the exhale. You can maybe put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and just feel the rise and fall as you inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Take your hands back to your thighs. We're just going to stretch out our head and neck area a little bit. So take an inhale as you drop your chin to your chest. Keep inhaling ear to shoulder. And then slowly exhale as you drop your head back and ear to shoulder. And then begin that breath again. So inhale, chin to chest, ear to shoulder. Exhale, drop that head back. And to make this nice and quick, we'll do 3 big circles in each direction. So coming back up, we're gonna go in the other direction. So big inhale, drop your chin to your chest, ear to shoulder, and then start moving in that other direction. You might feel some points of tension at different places. It's okay to acknowledge those. Just keep them in mind for later. And then back up to the center. Good. Make sure your shoulders are still rolled back, sitting up nice and tall. And we're gonna continue to stretch out this upper body. When we're sitting in our chairs for so long, sometimes we can get a little rounded. And so trying to reverse some of that today. So take your right hand and we're gonna put it on the chair behind us. Left hand is gonna go over on our right knee. Take a big inhale as you sit up nice and tall. Exhale, we're just gonna twist looking over that back shoulder. And we're gonna stay in this pose as we breathe. So as you exhale, maybe try to twist a little bit deeper into that pose. This might not be a movement that anyone can see, but you can feel yourself softening as you twist just a little bit more. Take a big inhale, walk your left hand over behind your back. Right hand comes onto that left knee. Big inhale, exhale, look over that back shoulder. And same thing here, about 3 to 5 deep breaths. Taking more if you need them. Then bringing your hands back to the center. Good. Sometimes we get just a little bit tight in our legs. And so one thing that you can do to help that out is just a little seated figure 4. So you're gonna take one foot, place it on top of the other. And there's a couple different ways we can do this. One, you can wrap your hands around your knee and pull up. You're gonna feel that stretch deep in your glute medius, which is kind of the outside of your butt. Sit up nice and tall, really pull on that leg. Take a couple big deep breaths, breathing out with your mouth. And then the other way to do it, so switching to the other side, would be just to push down. And you'll feel this stretch a little bit deeper. Sometimes when we're sitting all day, we kind of neglect these muscles and they just become a little tired, a little stagnant. So pushing down as you sit up nice and tall and breathe. Bringing your feet back to the ground. At your desk, you can always kind of engage your toes and your calf muscles by lifting your toes, dropping them down, and lifting your heels. Inhale, lift your toes. Exhale, drop them down. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, drop them down. So really just getting our lower body engaged as well. Another thing that you can do, and so typically at the end of yoga, is we really just try to continue that wind down. So taking your hands back behind your back, sitting up nice and tall, and we're just gonna lean forward. So we're gonna bring our chest down to our thighs, really feeling that stretch there, pushing your arms away from you, your hands reaching toward the back wall. Take a big inhale here. And on the exhale, we're just gonna let our hands drop to the ground. So at the same time, we let our head drop, our arms kind of hang down like a rag doll. And really try to feel that tension releasing from your shoulders. Following it all the way down through your fingertips and into the ground. And you can stay in this pose for as long as you want. Maybe your forehead is on your desk in front of you. But whenever you're ready to kind of come out from this, we're gonna slowly walk our hands up, press our hands to our thighs, and then slowly roll yourself up, one vertebrae at a time. So you're stacking your spine, one on top of the other, until the last thing to come up is your head. Roll your shoulders back, sit up nice and tall, and just take a moment to scan your body. See if there's any tension left. See if you need to spend more time in one of those poses, or you need to try to go a little bit further next time. Take a big inhale as we bring our arms up above us, and exhale to drop them down. One more time, hands come up. We meet them together and we bring them down to what's called heart center. How I like to end yoga is just by taking a gentle bow, your fingertips to your nose. And then you can give yourself some gratitude for doing this practice today, or maybe set an intention of how the rest of your day or your week will go. And with that, we say namaste.